do, I'm gonna continue my series of Harriett Lerner. So if in my previous stream I talked about this book, in this in today's stream, I'm going to talk about anger. So Harriett Lerner has this wonderful book, The Dance of Anger, and it's called A Guide for the Women that want to change the pattern of their own relationships. But as you read the book, you start to realize that this is a universal guide for both men and women, because relationships are universal. It's not only women who have relationships, it is also the men, of course. So this was a very good read. I was surprised by the approach of Harriett Lerner over anger, which is a very even the word anger makes people be like, I don't know if I want to talk about it, but it's important to talk about anger. So yeah, so this book, it's a bestseller. It's a New York Times bestseller. The sales are over 3 million copies. It has been translated in more than 35 languages, so that's quite a few. So Harriett Lerner, born in 1944, it's a well-known clinician, a therapist. She is focused over the feminine psychology and family relationships. For 20 years, she worked as a therapist at Menninger Clinic from Topeka, Kansas, and she also was a teacher in the Institute Carl Menninger School of Psychiatry. She got her master's degree in Columbia University. So yeah, that's a little things about the author. So yeah. So this is like the beginning, the chapter. So this is not a very thick book, as you can see. So yeah, Harriett Lerner keeps it short and to the point. So the book is addressed for her family, for my family, Mom Rose, Dad Archie, and sister Susan, and in the memory of her grandmother and grandfather. So yeah, that's nice. So this is like an introduction, a new introduction for the English version in 2014. So actually, how did Harriett Lerner started to write this book? So she admits that she started to write this book when an editor from New York proposed to her to write a book about feminine anger. So it was a publisher who gave her this idea, like, Harriett, you should write about female anger. And actually the offer was backed up with $7,000. So that was really tempting. But what happened? The editor fired Harriett Lerner. Then she hired her again. Then she fired her again. And then at the end, the editor said, Harriett, that you're no good for writing this. And she was like, oh my god. And she was also asked her money back. So that was horrible. She was rejected. But actually she pursued writing this, and it was very difficult for her to get acceptance. And she says that I could have covered the walls of my biggest room in my house in Kansas with rejection letters. So yeah, publishing a book is not easy, and you should be prepared for rejection. So chapter number 1, the challenge of anger. So yeah, what does anger do? So our anger can tell us that we're not taking care of an emotional aspect of our lives, or that in one of the relationships it is too much compromise from ourselves. So anger is like an alarm signal that you're doing way too much to compromise yourself in something. So yeah, so actually the pain provoked by the anger, it's defending the integrity of the self. It sounds funny, but once you start reading through this, you'll approve Harriett Lerner. I did. So yeah, so there is a kind of a taboo, a kind of a thing about female anger. Unlike the male heroes which die for their beliefs, women are practically kind of judged for being angry. A lot of times people say that about a woman being angry, oh, she's not a lady behaving like this, being so angry. Yeah, so actually Harriet made a good point, that there is like a code to describe angry women, but there is not such a code to describe angry men. Usually when you want to offend an angry man, you say son of a bitch or something like that, which still puts the blame on a woman. So yeah, that's such a good detail. I was actually surprised that Harriet noticed that. So yeah, when women are angry, they're like guilty. When men are angry, the woman is responsible for that man being angry. That's not fair. So yeah, so Harriet says that to ask yourself if it's appropriate to get angry, it's like asking yourself if it's appropriate to be thirsty. So yeah, angry can be good, an angry feeling. So but it is good because it is an alarm signal. Bună dimineața! Hello! So I'm talking about anger, and I was saying that anger is a signal that you're compromising way too much of yourself, but there is a downside to it, that if you're violently express your anger. How is your flu? Are you feeling a little bit better? I hope you're all right. I really appreciate you coming into my chat, although you're having flu. So yeah, so if you're expressing your anger in a violent way, you're actually not changing the relationship. Oh, I'm so sorry. Just don't do a lot of talking. Just listen and try to take in the information. Okay? So I won't be offended if you don't talk. So don't be violent. Yeah, don't be violent when you express your anger, because it's not gonna change things. So actually, what's the problem of the women in angry behavior? Women are feeling stuck. The women who are way too angry or who don't express their anger, they're actually stuck. So Harriett Lerner has two kind of I don't know, let's say classifications for women. The syndrome of the good lady. This is the first one. So the syndrome of good lady is that the type of the women that don't complain, they sit silent, they hold the anger inside of them. So actually when you're doing that, you're protecting the other. Yeah, so bottling up, it's the syndrome of the good lady, so that's not very healthy. So the more you bottle it up, the more you accumulate this anger feeling until you manage to have like those angry bursts which scare people. So actually, I love this quote. I put a little heart, and it's very important. Actually, when we are that angry and that offended, we're acting like a relationship would be more important than having a self. Oh, yeah. So don't do that. Having a self is more important than having a relationship. So actually, it's very bad from the society that cultivates a feeling of guilt towards women. If we don't have that emotional repair role. So actually women bottle anger because they feel like I have to protect you to not feel hurt, and that's something that society does, that women have to be nice, women have to be protectors, women have to nurture and baby, and no. Actually, it's very healthy to express your anger. It's very, very good. So actually, a society says about women who have a tendency to express their anger that they're selfish, they're immature, they're rebellious, they're not feminine. So actually, there is a big temptation from women to get back to the place where society placed us just to get validation. I approve Harriet in this. Too many women bottle their anger up and put up with horrible husbands, kids, bosses, just to be nice. This is the syndrome of the nice lady. Yeah, don't go there. So actually there is a lot of creative, intellectual and sexual energy blocked in this anger. So actually it's very important to release that energy and channel it towards yourself rather than bottling up and protecting the other to get responsible for what they did to you. The other classification is the woman who's a bitch. So this is the bad woman, that kind of a woman that is always angry, is always vocal about her anger. But this is an extreme. This is the extreme of the nice lady. So these ladies actually can't control their anger. They can't control it so much that it gets a hold of them. So actually that's very inefficient, because the problem that appears with bitchy women and their anger pattern is that they're getting stuck in an infinite loop of getting arguments. So they're always constantly fighting with no result. So actually when this happens, we are protecting the other too. So where you're not getting angry and you're bottling up, you're protecting that person. But when you're getting angry so much that you have outbursts, you're still protecting the other. Why? They are not paying attention to your hurt feelings because you're so angry, and that therefore you're protecting them. So actually, when you are expressing anger in an inefficient way, I mean you lack clarity, you lack direction, you lack control, actually it makes the other person protected. Have you noticed that when we are getting a fight and we're angry, and if you're angry or I'm angry, the other becomes calmer and cooler while you're getting angrier and angrier. Isn't that funny? So actually this kind of interaction allows the other to get away with it with no consequences. Actually, the women who fight inefficiently are the ones that are making constant effort to change a person that doesn't want to change. So actually, women who get angry all the time are the women stuck in patterns, or men stuck in patterns with a person that doesn't want to change. People, you can't change people unless they want to change themselves. So yeah, so the purpose of this book, it's created to help people to abandon their old ways of coping with anger that doesn't function long term. Yeah, Grindlock, exactly. This is a Grindlock thing. Yeah, oh, I like that. So, how to solve these styles of anger management? So Harriet is gonna give a solution for to sit in silence, arguments, blaming, emotional distancing. So this is a style of coping with anger that won't help you. So another thing which I found fascinating in this book, it's about solving the issues from your family, from your with your parents, your sisters, it's very important. Actually, if you're not solving, and this was my revelation, if you're not solving the patterns of interacting within your own family, you are going to take that anger and put it in your relationship, and it's gonna suck, because you're interacting with your parents and with your on a daily basis. So if you're not doing that right, you're gonna accumulate anger, and you're gonna outsource it to protect your parents. You're gonna outsource it on your partner. Yes, you are perpetuating. So actually changing partners over and over again, it's not gonna help you. You have to change the patterns from your family first. Deep things. Yeah, so actually relationships are like dances, and the behavior of each partner provoke and perpetuates the behavior of the other. So we have to use anger as a point to change patterns. So don't use anger to change the other, but use anger to change the patterns. So how do you use this book? Very slowly. If we want to change, it's important to do it slowly. Rome wasn't built in a day. So actually it's also very important to know what you're fighting for. People don't know what they're fighting for. So actually a lot of people get angry and start fighting, but they don't know the purpose of it. So actually instead of using that energy to change a person that doesn't want to change, use that energy to clarify your own position and our own choices. So God, imagine all that energy invested through anger in that other person to make them change. What if you take that energy and invest it in yourself and what you want to do with that situation? See, you have to change perspective. So yeah, actually we can't force the other to change, but we can, if we change our own, we can change the pattern. So yeah, so we will see, interesting, that the people who are most close to us, family, have the biggest interest for us to not change, because actually they will resist change. So if you're gonna try to change the way you interact with your family, yeah, they're gonna be resistant to that. Yeah, it's okay to be angry, it's an emotion, but the way you express it to the other, that's the difference. The way you express it. Yeah. So actually, as we will learn to express it more clearly and more direct and more calm, the fact that we're angry, the others will become the same. So we can accept the reality and make good choices. Will we choose to stay in a relationship or not? Will we choose to walk away, to divorce or not? So actually, Harriet says that a lot of our problems appear, anger problems appear when we have to choose between having a relationship and having a self. This book will teach you how to get both. Oh, nice. So, chapter number 2, old moves, new moves, and counter moves. It's a very good book, very good book. So actually, this chapter starts with a client of Harriet. Harriet organized a workshop about anger, and a woman called Barbara called Harriet and told her, Harriet, I can't come to the workshop. My husband doesn't let me go to the workshop. Sorry. And she was like angry and like, oh, my husband doesn't let me go here and blah blah blah. So actually Barbara is wrong in this. Why? Because she admits that her husband makes the rules and she disconnects her. She gives up herself for her husband. Actually, the connecting of yourself means that under the pressure of a relationship, a too bigger part of you becomes negotiable. That's not good. So actually, the partner who sacrifices the more of himself accumulates anger. So there is a very interesting not oppression, and this is a very interesting concept, Adam, of this book. The sub-functioning of an individual allows the over-functioning of the other. So actually a woman can become more fascinated by the role of a weak partner who is dependent and vulnerable. So that's not good. That's a very bad pattern. So yeah, so if the sub-functional partner starts to look better, the over-functional will start to look worse. So Barbara was under-functioning in this relationship. So yeah, so very interesting, very interesting. So there is a thing that the opposite sex, the weak sex, have to protect the powerful sex of acknowledging the power of the weak sex, which when the powerful sex feels weakened by the power of the weak sex. So yeah, it's weird, but it's so true. So actually women learn to behave like they are weaker to protect the man and to help them to feel stronger by giving up our own power. Ha! No. Don't do that. So a woman actually is protecting the man, assuming the tasks that he doesn't want to perform and giving up herself to develop herself in the abilities that might even belong to the man. So actually when Barbara got angry and decided to give up to the workshop, and she was protecting her husband, making him feel like, oh, you're powerful, no, don't do that. So yeah, very how could Barbara have approached this in a smart way? So Barbara was angry. Barbara was a sub-functional individual in this marriage. How could she approach this? How could she have used her anger well? Check this out. She could have said like this. She could have said, no, I'm not fighting with you over this. I'm gonna tell you like this, good or bad, radical or not, the workshop is important for me. So if I'm canceling this, I'm gonna be angry on you. So I'm not gonna cancel it. I look forward to going to that workshop, and I'm going to. Kisses and bye-bye. So this is how Barbara should have approached this. But because she was she was feeling a lot of anxiety and the fear of losing a relationship, she was finding very hard to stand up for herself. So actually, if Barbara would have approached this not being angry, not pouting and accepting to cancel her workshop, actually her husband would have been a little bit put off, trying to reduce his own anxiety of seeing his wife being so different, not angry but actually standing up for herself. So yeah, he would have feel threatened by Barbara, not if she would have been angry and like that, but if she would have been calm while being angry and standing up for herself. So yeah, so that's tricky. So actually, Harriet says that Barbara might even fear herself to go to that workshop, and she might fear to subconsciously invite the husband to express the emotions. Oh yeah, well, he's a big boy, he has to take it. So actually, Barbara has chosen to protect the husband and to continue her old lifestyle. It is not only a gesture of submissive behavior, but actually an active choice to keep the safety in the biggest important relationship of her life, marriage. So actually, she's protecting the husband. So her expressing, oh, my husband doesn't, but deep down she might have have this fear of going to the workshop herself, because that would have shifted completely the patterns in her marriage. A dangerous thing, don't you think? Yeah. So actually, Barbara is not having cuffs on her hands, and it's not such a victim, Barbara. So actually, she preferred to humor and to please her husband rather than to shake the marriage. So Barbara is not so much of a victim as she says, but actually she's subconsciously choosing that. So yeah, don't always believe people when they say, no, my husband doesn't let me, or my wife doesn't let me, or no, 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 no. So actually a woman can avoid conflict by defining the wishes and the preferences to be identical with what the partner needs. So actually a woman is sacrificing herself to please the man. That's a huge mistake. It's not gonna last, or it's going to last with a lot of bottled up, yeah, misplaced devotion. Yeah. Oh, that's a very good line, misplaced devotion. Yeah. So actually, yeah. So when there is not enough us, it can be an emotional divorce. Two people can end up alone and isolated in a marriage, which is only pro formal, like there is only the house, the kids, but they are no longer an us. So yeah. So when there is not enough me in the relationship, we are sacrificing our identity and everything. So actually when there is not enough me, it's very bad. But when it's too much us, it's too much energy spent in trying to be present for the other and trying to change them. So too much of us, it's not good. Too much of me, it's not good either. So actually, yeah, another result of the excessive us, it's where the wife accepts the reality of the dominant husband. So actually it's very sad, because it can happen when a relationship is over. You don't even have a self to get back to. Oh my god. So after a divorce, after a breakup, that's why people can stay in toxic relationship, because their self, they gave up so much of their self, because if that relationship would be over, they wouldn't even have a self to get back to. Oh my god, that's very, very bad. So yeah, so guys, if you're too angry, if you're too bitter in any relationship, no matter what, that it's an alarm signal. That the anger, it's an alarm signal that says to you, you have to do something about yourself. You have to re-examine yourself. So anger, it's not a sign that you have to change the other. No, go back to yourself, analyze you in that relationship. So yeah. So actually the woman that sits in the bottom pile of the marriage accumulates a lot of anger. That anger is in direct proportion with her degree of submission and sacrifice. Yeah, no. So actually developing yes, it goes back to the love languages too. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So talk to people, don't do things assuming. Yeah, talk, be direct. So actually developing a stronger self means to actually be peaceful with the desire of saying no to a bad marriage. It might be frightening, it might be, but you have to take that in. So actually when we try to yes, beautifully, don't they? Yeah, exactly. So actually when we are getting angry and we try to change the other, we might have subconsciously that fear of walking away of that relationship. So yeah. So actually there will be a strong opposition from the family when you try to change the patterns. So actually it will be 3 steps. The first thing, you're not right. People will tell you that you're not right. 2, it will be like, change back again, we will accept you. 3, if you don't change, this will be the consequences. So actually, yeah. So actually the counter movements, it's an attempt of the other to re-establish the old patterns. So actually when people like your mother, your father, your sister tries, it's gonna react weird if you're acting in a different way, and they'll try to make you angry, make you try to react like you always used to act. Stand on your grounds. It's gonna take time to change those old patterns. Yeah. So actually it's not only the problem that the family will resist, we will resist too. So yeah. So actually it goes back to the family. The mother of Barbara actually also had this submissive position in her marriage. So Barbara, this is so deep. I love this book. Barbara might feel even bad to have a better marriage than that one of her mother's, just because in her subconscious mind, Barbara could see her attempt of affirmation in her husband as a disloyal jest, that she's gonna be so different from generation of women behind her, before her, that she will automatically resist this. Unbelievable what people could have in their, I don't know, background, and what could make them be in a certain way. So yeah. So so yeah. So an example Harriet gives, the wife tells to the husband, your mother is driving me crazy. She's nosy, she's controlling, she treats you like you would be her husband, and like a bad baby. But actually this is a wrong thing to say to a man from a woman. The real problem is that I would like you, my husband, to be more assertive with your mother, to put limitations. I even wonder if your true commitment stands with her and not with me. So actually, yeah. Just to rephrase it exactly. So actually Barbara was trying to invest her energy in trying to change the other. So intimacy is not always equal identity. It's very hard to learn that you don't have to make the other to think or to feel like we want to, but we have to express express how we feel. Give up the idea of changing the other. The other won't change. So invest that energy in a different way. So actually, and I put a big heart on this because I love this part, we can walk away from the inefficient arguments only if we give up to the fantasy of changing or controlling the other. Only then we can regain the power which is truly our own, which is the power to change ourselves and to take action in a different way. The only person you can change is yourself, guys. So the minute you drop off the fantasy of changing the other, the patterns will change. Drop that fantasy. it's never gonna happen. If you're gonna invest your energy in trying to change people, you don't have enough years in your life to change people. Give up that fantasy. I cannot express it long enough. Please, for the better of yourself, give it up. Do other type of fantasies, but this fantasy is a dead end road. Just don't go that. So yeah, actually, disconnecting of yourself is the biggest issue in anger. So this chapter bottoms up this thing. Anger is a signal. Anger is a warning signal that you're giving way too much of yourself in that relationship, whatever that might be: boss, employee, husband, wife, mother, daughter, son, father. Anger is a warning signal. Chapter number 3. Circular dances in the couple when anger leads to nowhere. Oh, we've all been there. So yeah. So actually Harriett, and I love this, Harriett talks about an episode in her own personal marriage. After 6 months after she delivered their first baby, she came across a book, and she reads a lot, of course, and in this book there were some signs that her baby might be retarded. And she was so scared, and she started to talk with her husband. Look, I found this book and our baby matches the pattern, and I'm worried he might be retarded. And oh my god, and her husband was reacting like this. He told her like this: drop it. Kids grow in different ways. End of story. And she was like, huh? Like, hello, I'm so concerned, and you're like giving me 2 sentences to shut my mouth. She was going ballistics. And she describes that in the next 6 months, she repeated the same argument with her husband over and over and over and over again. Oh my god. So actually they were stuck, and she was amazed that she was a therapist, but in her own marriage she had this gridlock thing, that her husband was very insensitive to her concern. So actually there was a thing behind these arguments. Actually, Harriett now, with new eyes, admits that them being stuck in that argument pattern actually helped them protect them from the worries regarding their son. Actually, they were so stuck back then that they didn't realize they were actually trying to get their mind off the fact that their son might be actually retarded. So they are fighting so much about that in a way they were both protecting themselves. So funny thing, isn't that amazing? But the problem is that anger doesn't help you. Anger will lead you nowhere. Anger only makes things worse. So yeah. So actually, yeah, it's a coping mechanism, exactly. So Harriett Lerner did a comparison which made me laugh. And she told that even rats from a laboratory maze learn how to change behavior if they always go to a dead end. So she compared humans with rats, that we're actually sometimes worse than rats because even rats learn how to change. So actually repeating an argument over and over again, it's like be better than a rat. Change that fighting pattern. So actually, when we're being angry, what's the problem, guys? When we're being angry, we tend to be very emotionally reactive, that we lose the ability to absorb, to notice our own role. So have you noticed that when you're angry, you are so emotionally that you only focus on the other and you lose focus on yourself? Have you noticed that? I did. So actually, to observe yourself is the process to see the interaction from us and the other. And actually, the way the other behaves is also connected to us. Take a moment, breathe in, and notice yourself in that argument. So, yeah, really, really important. So, a very old problem that is like he's not reacting and she's overly emotional. That's the forever problem. So, yeah. So actually, the woman that is expressing emotions for their husband too, it's actually gonna end up behaving in a very high hysterical way. So don't assume the role of expressing emotions also for your husband. Express it for your own and let your husband cope with his own emotions. So actually, the man that is relying only on the wife to express the emotions will lose this part of connecting with himself. Yeah. So, yeah, I put a big note here. We all know about the husband that knows to do everything in the house, but who is oblivious when his wife is depressed. So, the thing is, the guy that is like this in a marriage, he might be even weakly connected with his own family. He might not even have a family member to which he could connect. So this is the modern masculinity, which promotes men being tough and serious and never talk emotions. Well, this in marriage is going to ruin it. So yeah. So Harriet gives a lot of examples from her therapy with couples and everything. So yeah, a lot of things with the mother-in-law, the husband, and the wife. Usually, the wife reacts for the husband. So actually, there is Sandra and Larry, and Sandra always had explosions of anger towards the mother of Larry, and Larry, like a little angel, Larry didn't say anything. Larry let Sandra explode and express emotions for him. Very unhealthy, because Larry didn't want to offend mommy, and then he let Sandra do his dirty work. Very not healthy. So actually, Sandra went to therapy and she managed to cope with it. So actually, Larry started to feel very anxious. Yeah, very interesting, amazing book. So actually, Sandra learned only to listen, not to react. So when Larry started to talk about work issues, about his mother, and Sandra did her part, listened, but she learned to not express anger for Larry. So yeah. So actually, Sandra was protecting Larry from admitting his own anger towards his parents. So that's very dangerous. So actually, because Sandra was so willing to do the emotional work for Larry, Larry could only have the role of defending his parents. So yeah. So actually, what can you do, Sandra? So if you have a problem with somebody's parents in a relationship and there is something that only depends on you, do that. What did Sandra do? Sandra admitted that if she was offended by the behavior of Larry parents, it was her job to confront it. So actually, she said to her mother-in-law that if you want to visit me, please let me know ahead. This is Harriett Lerner, Dance of Anger. It's a very good book. It's a book that will help you change the patterns of your relationships. Yeah. So actually, when Larry observed that Sandra continues to approach the problem with his parents, so Sandra stopped the circle. Sandra stopped complaining to Larry, and Sandra started to go to Larry's parents and talk directly. So actually, all the problems that Larry had with his own parents started to surface. Oh my God. So Larry started to feel the inner pressure to deal with his anger towards his own parents, and Sandra had nothing to do with it. Brilliant. But that's because Sandra changed the pattern. So actually, if in this couple, Sandra was the over-functioning and Larry was the under-function, the sub-functional partner. So when the over-functional partner starts to not over-function for the other, the sub-functional partner will start to cope with their own anxiety. So Sandra, taking charge and not being angry for Larry too, managed to help Larry cope with his own anger towards the parents. Can you tell now that a lot of guys are protecting their parents and they're not having the courage to deal with their own parents and take it on the partner? A lot of women hate their mother-in-laws, not because they're horrible, but because the guys refuse to take the matter in their own hands. So the guys are having this very comfortable place of being, oh, I'm not getting part of this, just because they're too scared to confront mommy. Oh my God, yeah, don't allow a guy to do that. Don't let them cope with their own, because see, they have unresolved issues in their family and they're gonna take it up on you. So yeah, not good. Yeah, he was protecting himself. Exactly. So actually, don't do that. So if you're a chaser, there are two types of people: the chasers and the ones who run away. The people that always get a distance and always want to get too close. So if you're like that, don't do that anymore. So don't express feelings for other people, let them express themselves. So yeah, very, very nice. So why did Sandra took charge? Sandra suffered more than Larry did. So that's why usually the partner who suffers the most will be the partner willing to go to therapy, willing to go to solve the problem. Yeah. So actually, when a lot of women focus on the husband, when a lot of women focus on the husband, or when the husband focuses way too much on the wife, is it because they're afraid to cope with this one question: what about me? What do I do about my life? Which are my priorities? That's why a lot of people choose to focus on the other, because if they would be to focus on themselves, they would be realize, what do I do about my life? How about me 20 years from now? What do I do? What's my purpose in life? That's a tough question, and people run from themselves, and therefore they try to. So actually, fighting or being in a bad marriage might be the coping mechanism for people to run from themselves, because they're afraid that, well, on themselves they might not do it. Yeah, totally agree with that too. So actually, when a woman or a man invests all of their power to changing themselves, they're not using that power for themselves. Use that power to change yourself. Find, what do you want from life? What do you want from life? So yeah. So actually, the attempt of Sandra to change Larry didn't do anything than to facilitate him to confront his own problems. So actually, you are helping that when you're angry on that person and you keep on fighting with them, you're helping them avoid their own problems. Oh, that's what I said when I read this book. This was revelation. It's like, but Harriett Lerner, you're so right. I'm gonna keep on reading. Amazing. So actually, a woman might sit in a constant argument with you because she's way too afraid to face her daddy, her mother, her sister. So she's gonna fight you because it's the easy way out to keep balance in her family of origins. Sneaky human nature. So yeah. So actually the problem is that you're investing so much effort in changing the other that you don't see the power to change yourself and to make choices. And this is actually the only power that you actually have. Chapter 4, anger towards our impossible mothers. Oh yes, everyone. I know no person who has no problem in interacting with their own mother, guys or women. So yeah. Actually, Harriett Lerner says that there is a quick fix to it. Move from the country, change the city, but you are taking the dynamics of the relationship with you. So if you have a bad mother, it won't help you if you move out of the country because you didn't change the dynamics. So there is a long-term cost to it, that all the unprocessed emotions in that relationship with your mother will be put into scene in another important relationship with the husband, boyfriend, with our own children. Oh my God. So when we learn to act differently in our own family and to unlock into these relationships, we will function in every relationship that we'll have 100% better. Yes, yes, yes. So you can't run away from your family of origin. You have to solve that shit. So yeah. So this is a story of a mother and her daughter. The daughter moved, of course, and she managed to have her own kid. But when mother visited her daughter, she always told her, you don't do this right, you don't do this right. And they were always fighting. Always. Oh my God. So actually, Maggie, the daughter, she was always, before her mother visited, she was always thinking about, I'm gonna bring this up, I'm gonna fight like this, I'm gonna bring this argument up. And she was already planning her whole arsenal of fighting. But funny thing, the more Maggie had arguments for her mother, the more gridlocked mother became. So her mother became even more fixated in her position. The more arguments you bring to the other for your opinion, the more the other won't change. Fantastic. So actually trying to change the other, especially if you're dealing with your own parent, it's doomed for failure. You can't change your own parents. You can't, remember, you can't change people. So actually, this problem with Maggie and her mother was, the real problem was Maggie was independent. So actually, this was the real problem. So not actually, the problem wasn't the visits and everything. The problem was that Maggie was really independent towards her mother, and she was actually even feeling, so anger kept them together, kept them still connected. So yeah, can you see that? So releasing anger won't help you. it's only temporary. So if you're angry and you talk everything that comes to your mouth, and no, that's not gonna help you. So actually you are protecting the other person, participating in arguments that lead to nowhere and never talking about the real problem. Actually, you prefer to fight with your mother instead of telling how you stand on a calm way. Oh my god. So actually, the mother of Maggie suffered depression. So actually, she had a postpartum depression after she gave birth to Maggie, and she had therapy with electroshocks. So Maggie was actually concerned for her mother, that if she will have her own baby, that her mother will feel excluded and fall into depression. So actually them constantly fighting while they were visiting was a mechanism of Maggie still getting close to her mother. So yeah, actually when Maggie was choosing the fight or the silence, she was never to leave the parents' home. She would still have left mommy's girl. So actually Maggie was assuming this mommy's girl role and was keeping her mother in the same pattern, just because deep down on a subconscious level she was protecting her mother, because she was afraid her mother wouldn't fall into a depression. But guess what, you don't have to assume that position. Her mother, if she was to fall into depression, it was her problem to deal with, not Maggie's. So yeah, so Maggie went to therapy. In order to learn how to cope with this and change the patterns. So actually every time when the argument started with her mother, Maggie kept calm. It made Maggie's mom be like, huh? And Maggie's mom tried to provoke her, she tried everything, because the pattern wasn't the same anymore, but it didn't work. So actually the solution is to talk. How Maggie approached this, how should you approach this? Yeah, we're so complicated. And she started to talk very calmly with her mother and say, mother, this is my kid, I have to do how I feel, I'm sorry, and everything. So yeah, so it's very, very important. So Maggie's mom reacted badly. She took off in the middle of the conversation, she talked trash and everything. And yeah, this is a separation anxiety. So this is separation anxiety. A lot of adults have this problem of having this separation anxiety. You're no longer mommy's baby, you're a grown-up adult. So yeah, so when Maggie interrupted the old pattern of communication, her own mother actually felt threatened. She tried to get back to the old patterns. So yeah, so independence, so declaring your independence towards a parent doesn't mean you don't care about them. It doesn't mean you're not empathetic. Independence means that you're defining your own self, but that doesn't mean we're distancing. Yeah, exactly. So Maggie has to show through her behavior that she's still her daughter and she loves her, but you have to remain independent. So yeah, so you have to maintain emotional contact. So they will feel rejected, they will feel upset, but you have to make sure, like, mother, I still love you, I still care about you, but I'm going to do things in my way, and I'm an adult and you have to accept that. I will make choices for me. So yeah, so Maggie will have to take a series of tests, because her mother is going to test you. So guys, if you're going to change the patterns in your family members are going to test you if you're for real. They're going to test you because they'll want to go back to the old pattern. So yeah, so there is never a success in a move for independence if you're going to be like this, hit and run. No, you have to sit it through, you have to cope with it, we have to resist it. Yeah, So actually, Maggie found out that her own mother had the same pattern with her mother. So actually, can you see that these patterns go so far in the genealogical tree that you're replicating? So find out about your family members more, about your mother's mother, about your father's father. You will see that patterns repeat. Amazing. So actually, yeah. So the mother of Maggie also had constant fights with her own mother in a way to maintain her closeness. So yes, can you see how tough is that? So actually, what happened? Maggie, when she came into therapy, she told this problem with her mother, but she also had the problem with her husband. She was no longer sexually active. She had terrible headaches. So as gradually as therapy evolved and Maggie changed the pattern with her mother, the headaches went away, the libido changed. So all that energy, remember, all that energy that it's blocked, intellectual, sexual, everything unblocks when we deal with anger in the right way and when you change your family patterns. Amazing, amazing. So actually, the work of Maggie going to therapy and changing the patterns with her own mother will echo through generations. So if you want to change yourself, can you imagine you're doing it for generations? You're doing it for your kids, for everybody. So your kids won't repeat the same patterns that you do with your own family. Oh my God, this echoed in my heart immensely. So I put a big heart in here because I love this. So Maggie did a work for generations. When her kids will grow, she will be more capable to give them a degree of independence and of separations. So yeah, because the degree of independence that we have from our own family will go to the next generation. Oh my God. So the best work you can do for your kids is to prepare yourself in parental efficiency. Oh, that's deep. Oh, that's deep. So actually renegotiating the relationships with people from your own genealogical tree are extremely rewarding because we will do a self that will influence all of our relationship. So actually the anger of Maggie was an alarm signal that said to her, Maggie, this pattern is wrong. Maggie, you have to make a change. So it was necessary for Maggie to be calm and determined in her position and to not give in to her mother attempts to resist the change of position. That is the work of anger put in good use. That is working for yourself. Oh, I love this. I love this. Chapter number 5. Using anger as a guide. So again, so when you're angry, very, very important, when you're angry, what do you have to learn? If our purpose is to break from a pattern, from a relationship, it's important to learn how to put your anger into simple, no blaming declarations about ourselves. Tell about how you feel. When you're angry, don't say you're horrible, you're mean, you're always doing that, no, say, learn to use anger to express things about yourself. So direct that energy not towards the other, direct it towards yourself. So I am feeling like this, I'm offended that you do this, I don't feel well. So in this way you make the other person responsible. So yeah, We have to learn how to put questions, how to make declarations. So yeah, it's very, very important. Very important. So actually, we have to learn how to get over this, I don't know, stigma of over women and over masculinity, that women have to function as a help to build the masculine ego. Because if we, God forbid, I will tell you and make you responsible for your actions, and you would feel like a helpless little baby. No, you're a grown ass up man. Just, you have to take charge and make people responsible for their action. I don't have to protect you because you're not a baby, you're a man. And well, that just has to happen. A lot of mistake in protecting people like they're babies. Don't do that. So there is a sort of anxiety towards this. People, a lot of times, people are afraid that if I'm going to be calm, if I'm going to stand up for myself, I might lose this relationship. Well, you might, but it's important to keep yourself together. Don't choose the relationship over yourself. So yeah. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. So actually the anger, yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But it's wrong in relationships. It's wrong. You don't have to nurture. So anger is an instrument of change. When we provoke to become experts in ourselves rather than in the other. So we have to learn to stop blaming the other. Yeah, we don't have to put the other to change, to tell him how to think, how to behave. The most important thing about anger is to learn how to clarify your own position. So use anger to say things about yourself. So yeah, so when you use anger to say things about yourself, nobody can say anything, because you can't say that I'm wrong telling things about myself. But if I'm going to attack you and say you're like this and you're like this, of course I'm protecting you because you have to defend yourself. But if I say things about how I feel, I have all the right to say that, and you can't do anything to me. So you'll have to work it through. So yeah. So Harriet talks about a couple. He had a lot of female friends and he didn't want to put boundaries, and she was married with the guy, and she was bothered that she was having so many female friends and he was so familiar, and that's not good for the marriage. If I'm not comfortable with that, I'm gonna tell you. And she put up with it, and it was wrong. And her husband chose the female friends, and she had to stand up for herself and say, okay, I can't cope with that, I'm sorry, and I'll have to divorce you for that. And if you're not changing it, that's going to happen. And he didn't want to change it. He thought she was bluffing. She didn't. And it was good. It was painful, but she chose herself. I could not imagine as a woman to sit in a marriage where your husband chooses to have so many female friends and you would just sit like this. Not acceptable. So she did good. So yeah. So if you're feeling anger and resentment, it's a signal that you compromised way too much from yourself. Yeah, not good. So too much time the women have been encouraged to not put questions but to accept our place, our responsibility, our feminine role. No. So actually it's very, very good to take it slow. Anger is a sign. Anger can give you the power to stand up for yourself and admit that I'm here to protect myself and feel good about myself in this. If I'm not feeling good about myself in this, we have to solve it, or else I have to figure it out on my own and do what's best for me. That is the real source of power from anger. If you sit there and victimize and be angry, that's not power, that's actually weakness. Chapter number 6. Chapter number 6, on the generational chain. So actually, I love this. It was the story of a woman and her father. Her father was old, and the wife has died, and the daughter was constantly nagged by her father. Her father used her daughter like, go buy me this, go buy me that, I'm old, I'm helpless, I'm your father. He called her many times per day. You know, that sort of parent, terrorizing parent that calls you 10 times per day. How you doing? How you doing? Are you fine? So many off things in this relationship. So yeah, so actually her father thought it was appropriate for his daughter life to gravitate towards him just because it's her father. And yeah, very, and of course that Kathy, the daughter, was very angry on her father. She wanted her life of her own, not always to do that. So the solution to this, the problem, before telling you the solution, the problem is that Kathy devoted herself so much to her father that she betrayed her own self, her own needs. So that's why she was so angry. She was no longer functioning for herself. She was always functioning for everybody else. Not okay. So the solution is she has to share the problem. She has to share the problem with her father. She has to say to her father, but in a calm way, like, I can't do this for you. We have to find somebody to take care of you because I have to have a life of my own. I'm sorry, but not because I don't love you, but I have to have a life of my own. So the next step is for Kathy to gather information about her family. So very important. So her father, when Kathy approached her father with this, her father tried to irritate her and told her, Kathy, your mother always took care of her own parents and she never complained. Your mother wouldn't be proud of you. So he tried to play this card with his daughter, and his daughter, just as learning therapy told, she didn't took in the bite, and she told him, I'm sorry, father, but I am not mother. I'm a different person, and I'm a different person, and I understand and I appreciate mother was like this, but I am not mother. I am Kathy, and I am different. And I don't do this. I think I'm a bit more selfish and I can't do this. I'm sorry. So your own parent will try to lure you in to get angry. Okay. So actually, we're never the first one to deal with a problem in a family. If we don't know the history of our family, it's possible to repeat patterns from the past without even knowing. So yeah. So Kathy started the research. Kathy started to find out more about her own family. So actually she found out that there was a generational problem, that women from her own family, her grandmother, everybody, took in this role of nurturing, and they sat with their parents up until old age to take care of them. So actually, Kathy, what did she do? She told to her father, Father, I can agree to help you, but I can't come and eat with you more than 2 times per week. I can't come daily to eat with you. Come on, you're not a baby. And I can shop with you, but only in Saturdays, not all day. Imagine the father called her daughter every day, go buy me Snickers, go buy me that, just like a toddler. And of course, you can't have a life of your own when you go and buy things for an old man calling you 10 times per day, acting like he's a complete, I don't know, handicapped. Sorry to say that, but yeah. So she put boundaries. Kathy had the freedom, and the power of anger is this: you put your own boundary. And she told, Father, I will do shopping for you, but once a week. Make a list, think it well, because I'm not going to do it anymore. So yeah, so actually his father started to change too. So his father started to get friends with a neighborhood, with a woman, an older woman, and they started to chat too. So yeah, if your parent feels the need to chat 10 times per day, okay, do a better job and find somebody of your age to talk to. I have my own life. So yeah, parents need to learn that it's not the child's responsibility to take care of them until old age. You can help them, you can be supportive, but I don't have to sacrifice my own life and my happiness to assist you. I have known men, I don't know if I can call them men, but I have known masculine sex people that are still very dependent on their parents, and they go at they wash their clothes, their parents wash their clothes, and they're almost 40. They go and eat at their parents' house daily. Everything, like if their parents need something, they always call them 10 times per day. That's not a good relationship with your parents. That's quite unhealthy. I wouldn't want to be part of such a guy's life. I'm feeling like I would have a relationship with their parents. It's horrible. I've been through that, and it's I pity that guy, because it looks like a toddler, not like a grown-up man, and you can't be attracted sexually by somebody who acts like a child. It would be wrong. Ew. So yeah, but that's very sad, and they are perpetuating that relationship, and you don't want to be part of that. So don't. And there are also women who are daddy's girls and mommy's girls, and yeah, you can't have a relationship with that woman because she's not a woman, she's acting like a child. Extremely unhealthy. So chapter number 7, who is responsible for what? So yeah, so actually we start to use the anger as a vehicle of change when we're capable to share our reactions without making the other responsible for our emotions, and without taking ourselves blame for other people's reactions. We are responsible for our own behavior, but we're not responsible for that reaction. Yeah, very uncomfortable to see. So actually take charge. So the power of anger is to take charge of your own emotions. So if you feel upset about something I said, if you feel, that's your problem, that's not my problem. So yeah, I can admit that I did this or that, but if you're upset that I'm gonna go to I don't know what workshop and you don't like it, guess what? That's your problem. So you have to step out of this nurturing baby burp series, not healthy. So we have to learn to abandon the responsibility for the other people. So yeah, not very good. So this Harriet goes back to the subfunctional and overfunctional. The subfunctional individual has to learn to function more, and the person who overfunctions has to learn to take a step back. Very important. So yeah, so the battles that we go, that we take in our relationships are part yeah, from our inheritance, which started way before we got born. So actually, think about it: our mother, our grandmother, they're all replicating family patterns, and they're giving that to us. So we have to cope with it, and if we start to learn that that's not okay, we have to change it. We have to change it. So yeah, very, very important. Very important. So yeah, so learning to observe and to change our behavior is a process that is connected to self-love, that can't exist in an atmosphere of self-critique or self-blaming. These kind of attitudes are often undermining, not stimulating our capacity to notice the relationship patterns. They can even be a part of the game that we learn to play, whose purpose is to maintain our relationships by placing us in an inferior position to help the other to feel they are superior. So yeah, you're protecting the other by being the way you are. So yeah, very, very, very interesting. So actually, another problem in the household, the wife telling the husband do more of that, or the husband telling the wife do more of that. So asking someone to do more job in the house and then criticizing them that you're not doing it right, that's the opposite of change. So if you want your husband or your wife to do, like, please clean up that, let them do it in their own style. Or parenting, like a lot of wives complain the husband doesn't help him with the child, but if you're asking for their help and you're constantly, but you're not doing that right, but you're not bottle feeding him the way I do. Hello, let people do things the way they can do it. But if they're doing what you ask them, just okay, you're doing it your style, let them do it. So if you're asking for a change and then you're commenting on it, yeah, hello, of course they won't do it. So yeah, so actually, if you're asking the husband, this I liked, you're as a couple, she asked the husband, please do the dishes, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, please, it would be good for the dishes to be done, and asked nicely, please do it. So actually, he did it, but he stood it like pouting, and he like, I'm gonna do this. But actually, the pouting is his problem, not her problem. So yeah, so nobody died from pouting. So don't go and try to babysit him. Oh, you're pouted because you had to do the dishes. No, don't do that. He's a grown-ass man. Pouting's gonna go. Just learn to be an adult, like, yeah. So a lot of the times of the problems is because of the woman. It is considered that it is a woman's job to overfunction. No. So that's why women suffer, because they take on the position of emotional salvager, a savior, of repairing of everything. So yeah, so actually when you don't use our emotional energy to fix our own problems, we take the problems of the other like it would be ours. No, it's not my problem that you're a mama's boy, or it's not my problems that you are a pouty boy, or it's not my problem that you can't cope with your boss. So yeah, don't take other people's, you're not Saint Mary. You're not a saint, you're just a woman. And this is the problem of the modern woman, over functioning, taking everybody's problems. Oh, I'm such a, like, oh, give me your problem, I'm gonna nurture you. No, deal with your own stuff. Yeah, that's better. So yeah, learn not to, it's not always good to help, it's not always good to help, because this is the problem. You want to help the other person, but if you want to help them, you're actually preventing them to help themselves. So yeah, not good. Learn, sometimes it's good to learn not to help, and always a good thing, don't give advice unless solicited. So yeah, don't do that, don't do that. Very, very important. So yeah, so actually if we deal yeah, right. Actually, if we deal with individuals who are depressed or underfunctional, the least useful is to focus on their problems and to try to help them. Actually, it's better to start to share a bit of our subfunctional problem. So if somebody comes and they're complaining like, oh, I have this, oh, I have that, and they're waiting for you to be the savior, start sharing some of your shit too, like, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through this, but you see, I have problems too, let me share some of them. And they'll be like, oh, but she's not gonna save me, oh. So the pattern is gonna change. So yeah, very, very important. So actually very interesting with your own child too. With your own child, in society there is this fantasy that the way that the child behaves and his entire being is the opera, is the creation of the mother. It's like the mother is the medium of the child. No, really. A lot of mothers feel this desire to control the behavior of their children, to prove to the world that they're good mothers. And yeah, no, I mean, you do the best job that you can do with your kid, but if he's gonna be like a total douchebag and you still tried your best job, it's not like you've been a bad mother, but you tried your best. Yeah, like, I have to be the hero mother, give me a slack, like, come on. Yeah, very, very important. So actually, she explains a case from her therapy with a mother and her daughter. The mother got divorced and she started dating new guys. And the daughter was always pouting when she started to date this guy, and she was always upset. Yeah, yeah. And the mother was like, why are you pouting? I have to move on with my life. You're such a difficult child. And she always postponed her dates, and she stayed home with her daughter, being angry on her daughter, and daughter being satisfied that her mother didn't date. And the mother went to therapy, and she started, like, the pattern changed when the mother started to admit that, okay, you're angry, it's okay, but I have to go dating, I'm sorry, you're gonna sit with somebody and I will date, and I'm sorry, I have to move on with my life, and you're a child, and I get that you're upset, you're totally right with being upset, but I have to date, I'm sorry. So the dynamics changed. The daughter started to actually be more close with the mother, and talk about the divorce, and get close to the guy the mother dated with, and started to accept the fact that her mother had to move on. So actually the mother protected the daughter by getting angry and not going to date and sitting home. So yeah, not very, and denying her emotions. Yeah. Chapter number 8. Thinking in 3, how to, you remember we talked about the triangle, in a family triangle. Yeah, so very, very important about the family triangle. There is also happening in a marriage with kids, like father, mother, kid, usually the mother allies with the kid against the father, or the father allies with the kid against the mother, or the father and the mother are allies against the kid, and all kind of unhealthy dynamics, and which are not healthy. So yeah, very, very not good. So yeah, so look at this. So Harriet talks about a triangle with a mother and his son and the husband. So mistakes, don't do this kind of mistakes. The mother that complains to the daughter about the bad father, rather than keeping this shit in the marriage. If you're having a problem with your partner, don't go trash your partner in front of your kids. It's the worst thing you can do. Things are kept between marriage. If I have a problem with my husband, I'm gonna talk it with my husband. Or if you have a problem with her wife, with your wife, talk it with. Trashing your partner and making an ally from your kid against your partner, that's gonna have serious repercussions, generational repercussions. That's why there are so many men who reach 40, 70, and they have not made a life of their own because they have to sit next to their mommy who is unhappy with their father. Oh my god, how can you dare to make out of your kid such, like, you give life to for that person to have freedom. You don't give them lives because you made poor decisions. And I see a lot of women doing this, like they're afraid they might have to divorce or end up the relationship, so they rather keep the relationship but also keep the child stuck. Yeah, no. Actually, yeah, women are especially afraid not to agitate the water in a relationship. They avoid confrontation, in a direct confrontation, and therefore you are putting your anger into another relationship. So bitchy women at work, being bad with another woman just because she has a bad marriage, but she's afraid to face it with her husband, therefore she outsources her anger with her employees, or maybe with a friend, or maybe with a neighbor. Can you trace this? Can you? It's incredible. Yeah, incredible. So actually, another thing, anger, if you're feeling angry, very angry on a person that is close to you, that's a good indicating factor that you are within yourself feeling a lot of emotional outburst and anger from an important relationship. So if you're unusually angry with strangers, or with an acquaintance, or with a worker, or with a girlfriend, or that's a sign that you have unresolved issue in your family of origins and you're outsourcing it to protect them. Not gonna work well. So actually, when we get angry, we tend to think that it's about the person. It's not about the person, it's about the pattern. So I'm gonna show it to you. This, I have to do this too. Harriett Lerner suggests to do like a sort of a map of the family members and the way they react and interact, and it shows that when like the mother allies with her son, the relationship like between it's so complicated, it's a bit of a mathematics in here, but this is the mother. So this is the mother, this is the father, and this is the son. The mother, so the father and the son always had conflicts, and the mother always intervened. So the intervention of the mother allying with her son provoked a lot of, do you see this wobbly line, a lot of issue in his relationship with his father. So that's not very good. So actually, when the mother enters the interaction as a savior, like women have to, actually the triangle changes. So actually it's getting worse. It's tension between the father and the mother, it's tension between the father and the son, and there's a lot of emotional intensity. So that's not very, very good. So actually the mother is trapped in the savior position, the father was being trapped in the blaming position towards the son, and the son was trapped in the sub-functional position of a problem child. Not very good. The solution the solution is for the mother to not intervene in the relationship of the father with his kids. So actually the mother had to go to the husband and apologize. I'm apologizing for intervening in your relationship with the kids. It's your problem how you interact. I should not become like a savior. And actually it's good to maintain calm and distance. So yeah, so actually the son tried to lure his mother as a savior, but it didn't work. So she didn't criticize the husband, and it's very, very important. So actually these triangles are increasing the chances of aggression, of physical violence. So it's not healthy, it's not healthy. Yeah. So this is an exercise. Oh god, this is challenging, Adam. So this, I have to do this somehow I have to do this. So if you're ambitious, try to draw a diagram of your own family, including at least 3 generations. Whew, okay, so this diagram has to include birth dates, death date, diseases, marriages, divorces, the degree of education. Oh my god. So yeah, a line, 2 lines like this would mean divorce. So oh my god, so this is a diagram for the triangle, and it has been proved by Harriett in her therapy that if you do this diagram, you're going to notice that your problem might be as old as generations, that it happened to a lot of people from your family, what happens to you and the way you react. And oh my god, I was shocked when seeing this. I was shocked, and I started to think, and it all made sense. Oh my god. So I completely recommend you doing this to actually get a hold of all the patterns. Yeah. So actually, if we're yeah, I think you should buy the book, because it explains so well how to do it. And yeah, it's, I don't think you'll find it online, but if you'll get the book, you'll figure it out. It's, oh, I have to make the courage to do this. So yeah, so actually the biggest problem here, if the only way in which a family copes stress is to focus over a problem kid, the result will be a kid with serious problems. If a family copes with stress only through fights, the result would be a severed marriage. So, oh my God, can you imagine so many couples screw up their kids, placing them as you're a problem kid just because they don't have the guts and the courage to solve their own problem. No, I'm not paid for this. But if I speak from the bottom of my heart. I find this fascinating, and yeah. But I'm sure if I would have to sell things in which I would believe, yeah, I think I would do. I wouldn't sell, I wouldn't promote anything I would not sincerely believe in. This is good. Harriett Lerner, she's good. She's the real deal. So yeah. So Harriet did the diagram for this triangle, mother, father, son, and actually the father remained yeah, the problem child, and it's very, very bad. So Harriet Lerner made the diagram for this family, and Mr. Kessler, the father, his father died when he was very young, and he had to help his mother. He has been the man of the house from a very early age, and his need to be a child that could be allowed to mistake has been buried. Mr. Kessler has been over functioning from a very young age. So actually he was always angry on his child, and being so very strict with his child, because he admitted that he was actually feeling a sort of envy on his own kid, because he wished he would have had a better childhood, and he felt overly responsible for everything. So yeah. So actually, to repair this triangle, he started to talk with his son. So he took his son Billy and he apologized. Oh my God, so important to be able to apologize to a kid. Don't underestimate a kid. Apologize if you have to. So he said, Billy, I am sorry. Sometimes fathers do things that they are not making any sense. I owe you an apology. It's my job to cope with my feelings towards my father dying and me having to take charge. You are responsible to decide what kind of student you want to become at school. I can't decide it for you. So yeah, very good. Good dad move. It's crucial that if you're a couple and you're having kids, it's crucial that each of the parents supports the rules of the other. Don't sabotage them, even if you're not agreeing with them. A lot of parents sabotage themselves. Good cop, bad cop. Mommy is bad, dad is good. We're gonna do this behind mommy's back. No, you're screwing up the kid. Just be transparent. You have to be united in this. So it's again very toxic when family members gossip about other family members, about, oh, look at my brother, he's the black sheep of the family, and you're gossiping him with your mother or with your father. Don't do that. That's a toxic triangle. Not very good. So actually the kids, and I love this quote, the kids are the water bearers. The kids are the ones that are taking all the problems which remained unsolved in the previous generations. Oh my God, yeah, that's another like, I don't know, diagram of a couple, of a thing wait to see. I was shocked about this interpretation of Harriett over this couple. It was brilliant, I have to tell it. So it is Jerry, his mother, and his girlfriend, the Jew. And his mother always told him, you have to find a good Jew girl to get married with. I'll only accept a Jew girl for you, blah blah blah. So Sarah, the mother of Jerry, was always criticizing Julie, Jerry's girlfriend, always. So actually, when somebody is making critiques on another person, they're secretly inviting you to be a common enemy, and that's bad. So when a mother tries to lure in their son to gossip about their girlfriend or their wife, that's not good, that's toxic. Don't do that. So if you have a problem with somebody, invite them. Okay, mother, it seems you're not very happy with somebody. I think you should talk with them. I don't feel comfortable gossiping about my wife, my girlfriend with you. I'm sorry. I think you'll have to talk with her. Bam, that's the right move. So yeah. So actually the triangle between mother, son, and girlfriend serves to reduce anxiety in the family and to prevent the family to solve their own problems. So actually this triangle is protecting Jerry and his mother to face the problems from their own family. So actually Julie is a scapegoat as a girlfriend, because she's like the excuse, like, no, not good. So actually, what can you do to destroy this triangle? Keep calm and change your position. So yeah, actually, it's not your job as a son to make your mother happy. Your job is to find the best relationship that works for you, and only you can decide if this relationship is going to be with Julie. So it's very important for people to realize that, especially for women too, it's not my job to find a guy to make my dad happy. I have to find a guy that makes me happy. So it's not my job to keep daddy happy. Yeah. So actually, Sarah, the mother of Jerry, went to therapy, and she confessed something very interesting. She confessed that before meeting Jerry's father, she had a boyfriend that which her parents didn't approve. She never faced her parents, even if she was adult. Oh, family patterns. So the mother of Jerry, who was very dismissive of Julie, actually had a lot of anger, because when she was young, she has this love crush and she was not allowed to pursue it. But yeah, she got married with somebody else. But after she went to therapy and coped with that, she had a slight argument with her own husband instead of her own child. So yeah, amazing. But when Jerry, so what happened? The mother of Jerry, at the suggestion of the therapist, stopped criticizing Julie. She stopped it. She said, Jerry, I have figured this thing out. I am sorry. I shouldn't have gossiped, Julie. I think you're free to choose whatever girl you want. I'm sorry. I support you, and I'll try to be more supportive of you and Julie. What happened next? You would be amazed. So, after Jerry noticed this new attitude of his mother, what happened? Jerry started, do you remember the thing I said, that they will try to make counter movements and regain the old pattern? See what Jerry did. Jerry started some counter movements, and he started to critique Julie towards his mother. He said, oh, mother, today was the birthday of Julie's father, and I couldn't convince her to call him. Jerry invited, now it was Jerry inviting his mother to gossip his girlfriend behind her back. Oh my god, the mother didn't took the bait. Just as suggested from therapy, the mother said, Jerry, it seems you are not happy with Julie, and I think you should take this problem and talk to her. I'm not feeling comfortable gossiping Julie. I'm sorry. And Jerry expected the old mother to gossip and to be, it didn't happen. So actually, if the mother, Sarah, would have criticized Julie with her son, the old triangle would have settled in. Oh my god, yeah. So actually, what happened next? Surprising. So after the mother stopped criticizing and like that, Jerry had to turn to himself and figure out things for himself. And when his own mother retreated and let Jerry do what is best for him, what do you think it happened next? The real problems between Jerry and his girlfriend came out. So actually it proved that Julie and Jerry weren't like so good for each other after all. And once the mother stepped out, Jerry could analyze that better. But because the mother was opposing, they were like, oh, we're so much in love. He avoided. And what did Jerry realize? Jerry realized he's not ready to go from mommy's house. And actually he started to realize he's not prepared to go. And the problem of Jerry was with himself. He was still mommy's boy, and yeah. And he outsourced this anger on Julie, inviting his mother to be a part of it. He wasn't ready to leave mommy. Oh my god, yeah. Actually, what did happen next? I love this. So the mother realized this. In therapy, and what did it happen? Actually, the mother and the father informed Jerry that, Jerry, I think you're a grown-ass man now. You're grown up. We're starting to getting old, and we'd like for you to move because we'd like more privacy. And I think you would do a great job being on your own. And yes, I think we need space. Yeah, but she didn't kick him out in a bad way. She told him she needed space for their couple. And yeah, amazing. Actually, when Sarah, the mother, stopped to be preoccupied by the life of her son, she started to make concerns for her own life, and Jerry started to be concerned for his own life. Oh my god, it was the best thing to do. So actually, the problem of Sarah, and she admitted, the mother, that she wasn't very independent towards her own mother. So the husband of this mother was actually the Jew boy they forbidden. So she ran away from the house and got married. And so see, it's going through generations. So the mother of Jerry never faced her own mother about her decision to marry behind her back. So she outsourced this anger by creating triangles with her son, and the son didn't cope with his own fear of going from home by outsourcing it to Julie. Adam, this is like gold in the pocket. This book is amazing. I started to see everything so clearer now. So chapter number 9, tasks for the brave and for the brave. So yeah, so Actually, getting mad leads you to nowhere if you're perpetuating the same patterns. So if you really want to do a change, you might be willing to read and reread this book. I will get back to this book several times, I am sure of that. So start to notice how you get angry. When the conflict is ready to appear, you might be fighting with your mother to distance from your father, to subfunction in rapport with your boss, or to chase for your boyfriend. So this is like a map. This is a map. Oh God, yeah, you should. It's amazing. And this is like a thing with chasers, the ones that distance, the subfunctional, the overfunctional. I've been overfunctioning in relationships for far too long, and I realized it so well now. And I'm distancing, and I'm over functioning. Amazing. And I like, no more Savior Mary, no more. But I started, this is way too personal to share, but if you're ordering this book, and you're gonna start to notice this thing happening in family as well. So yeah, actually, when a couple forms, it's usually from an over functioning and under a subfunctional, and that's the worst. When the situation is getting out of control, when anger is getting out of control, take a step back and try to analyze the role you're taking in that interaction. So when you're getting angry, a task, when you're getting angry, try to be calm and try to anticipate what the other person is going to do and what you're going to do. Only when you're trying, this is a good quote, only after you're starting to change a relationship, you can start to see it for what it truly is. I'm gonna repeat that again. I put a big heart here. It's like, only after you start to change a relationship, you can begin to see it for what it truly is. Ooh. So actually, yeah. So define yourself. Think about one way or two ways in which you can define clearly who you are in regards to your family members, without criticizing, without trying to change, without becoming defensive. This is hard. If one of the family members tried to cut emotionally from you, do a brave gestures. Try to send a note. Tried to send a holiday note. Yeah, if you're emotionally disconnected from one of your family members, you will be very furious in your relationships. You will act and you will react like crazy, just because you are outsourcing so much anger from that. See? Oh, this is good. So yeah, so when you will change the pattern, be prepared to be for that other person to be resistant, because they are going to try to get back to the old patterns. Be prepared. Solutions. I've put this with hearts and underlining and everything. Solutions. Solutions. Number one, express it when something is important to you. Express it in a calm way. Number two, don't always talk it through when it's fresh. It's not always good to talk it when it's done, right? Like, we have to talk it now, it's so important now. If you don't talk it, sometimes that's not good. Yes, it can purify the air to have a big fight, but what's going to solve? Nothing. So actually, the worst time to express, it's when you're angry or irritated. When you feel that you're getting angry, that you're getting flooded, and you would go into your normal fight routine, stop, and say, I need a little time to cool off. I need a little time. Let's establish 2 hours from now, 5 hours from now, to get back to this. Temporary distancing is not emotional distancing. 3. Take a break to think about the problem and to clarify your position. Number 4, don't use under the belt moves. Don't put minimizing orders, ridicule, ultimatums, interrogatory lessons. Don't minimize the other. Don't do this. It's dirty. 5. Talk with I. Learn to say I believe, I feel, I'm afraid, I want. An authentic declaration about yourself is saying something about how you feel without offending the other, without offending him. But don't do that. I believe that you have. Don't do that. Number 6, do not formulate really vague requests, like, I would like to be more sensitive. That's very vague. What does that mean? But say, I think I want you now to listen to me. I don't want an advice, but I want you to sit still now and listen to me. Like, be precise. Don't be vague. Like, I want you to be more what does that mean? Say what it means. Number 7, appreciate the fact that people are different. Number 8, don't participate in a dispute that leads to nowhere. Don't try to convince the other you're right. If the other is not listening, just say, maybe I sound crazy, but that's how I feel. Number 9, admit that everybody is responsible for their own behavior. Don't blame the new wife of your father that he is not letting him to be close. Approach the situation. Number 10, don't tell the other what he thinks, what he feels, or what it should feel or should think. The right of a person to be angry doesn't mean the other is to blame. So don't tell people what they should think or feel. Number 11, that's very important. Avoid communicating through another person. It's like, I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm your, I don't know, let's say I'm a girlfriend, and I'm like, I find your mother to be like, blah, and I talk her and I trash her. Like, no, I should go directly to your mother and tell her if I'm upset about something. Yeah, like triple triangle stuff, not good. Number 12, don't expect for change to come after short confrontations. Change is slow, one-to-one. Yeah, if you have a problem with me, tell it to me. Don't gossip with your child about me. Don't gossip with your mother. Don't gossip with your sister. No, you're creating, if you think this on a grander scale of things, you're doing harm for generations, and that's bad. So yeah, the most important is to observe ourselves. Don't gossip. So when two people gossip, they're having a relationship in the detriment of the other part. So don't gossip. Avoid. I hate gossip. Don't gossip. Yeah. So that's happening in the family too. when family member gossip about another family member, don't do that. It's no, no, no. So talking about somebody instead of talking with that somebody will never help you improve the other. So if you're angry on somebody, look, I've made such a big line here. If you're angry on somebody, you have to talk with that precise person and tell them that thing. When you're angry, talk for yourself. So when you're angry and you're not going to with that problem to that person, you're only escalating the stress and the anxiety. It's gonna get worse. So avoid secrecy. If you're planning to impose somebody to keep a secret, better not tell anyone. Don't no secrets. Secrets are bad. I don't like secrets, but in the same time you have to be aware to get to know that person in order to know if they're safe to tell them that precise secret. Number 5, don't become the third element from somebody else's triangle. If somebody complains, you can listen, but do not take sides. So that's why it's not good to take sides. No. So the best motive to avoid to become the ally of somebody is that the others have less chances to cope with their own anger and to negotiate their own misunderstanding if we keep calm. So actually this is the neutral position is the best position you can take, because that position is gonna let people deal with their own issues. Outsourcing is a way of people not dealing with their shit. So yeah, don't become the third in a triangle. So yeah, don't do that. I put a big heart in here. Don't do that. It can be with your neighbors, with your workers, with your bosses, with your family, with your kids. Don't let everybody solve their problems. Yeah, a triangle, it's not something that's a triangle is not something that the other does. The triangles are a request for full participation from all the people. So if you stop participating, it will no longer be it will no longer be a triangle. So yeah, very important. So triangles are being